Hi guys, Victoria Paxton here. Thanks for stopping back by my YouTube channel. Okay, so before I get started, if you could subscribe if you haven't already, like the video and share it, that would be awesome. Doesn't cost anything. It's cheap. It's free. Okay, so this reading today is going to be a little different than my normal readings. Okay, so for about 3 nights in a row, not for about, but for 3 nights in a row, I had this same dream. And I would wake up and I wrote down and try to figure out like what it meant. And, you know, because of my gifts, I have, you know, very vivid dreams. I have dreams that come true. You know, they're more like visions almost. So anyway, so I had this dream, and let me go over that first before we get into it. So I was in this huge house, like in the Hollywood Hills, and literally the house set like on, you know, like here, and then there were like different houses pretty far away on hills. And from the house out on the veranda, I could see the Hollywood sign. It was like right over there. Yeah, so there were not butlers, what am I trying to say? Waiters. There were waiters in tuxedos with plates of like yummy smelling food. There were men in tuxedos. Their female partners were in, you know, these gorgeous gowns. And so immediately it was just kind of awkward because I was trying to figure out at that point if I was really in the room or if I was just like seeing the room, into the room, which is normally how things go for me, is I can see into it. Sometimes I'm actually in there, like as if it's really going on. It just depends. But so anyway, I was trying to see if I was actually there, which apparently I wasn't, because I asked if I could have a drink and nobody even looked at me. So yeah, so apparently they couldn't see me. I could see them. I was just kind of observing. Everybody was having a great time. And then it was the weirdest thing. All of a sudden, rather than being on this one level, I was like up on the roof. Okay. And I was like, oh, how did I get here? Like, why am I here? And then they had like an infinity pool on the roof and a jacuzzi, and like it was huge. It wasn't like a small, it was huge, right? So I'm up on the roof, and I remember hearing somebody like crying. And it was kind of bizarre though, because like I didn't understand like why this person was crying, and I could tell it was a man. And I just kept kind of like looking around trying to find this person that was crying, you know? So I finally see him. He was like over to the right, off a ways near the edge of the roof. And I walk over and he was just sobbing. And I tried to talk to him, you know. I wasn't thinking, you know, that I wasn't actually there, live in the flesh. So, you know, he didn't look my way or respond to anything I said. So I walked over closer to him. And it's just eerie. It was creepy because all of a sudden he stopped crying and he looks up and he looks directly in my eyes, directly at me in my eyes. And he was like, help me. And then he went to say something else, and then whoosh, I was gone. And yeah, so I ended up having this dream 3 nights in a row. I didn't understand, like, you know, what the heck, like, what is this, right? But something, I don't know, something told me that he was an actor. And I don't know why, but in these dreams, I can, once I see somebody's face, like I can, you know, like a photographic memory, I can remember exactly what that person looks like. So I was like, okay, let me just look, you know, maybe I'll look upon something. So I was looking like, you know, actors or singers that were like maybe in rehab, or, you know, I'm just looking, not knowing, right? And I keep searching, and oops, sorry, played with my hair, sorry. yeah, I kept searching and I could not find anything. So I said, okay, this is nuts. This is just nuts. So that was the second time I had it. So then I go to bed that night. I had it a third time. So the next morning I got up and I did my little morning routine, and I was like, yeah, I got to figure this out, you know? So I just kind of like said a little prayer, like, you know, help me figure out who the heck this is. And I'm not kidding you. I went onto my phone and I was searching on my phone instead of the laptop. So I went on my phone and I was searching and I came across this picture and I was like, holy crap, that's him. So the picture that I saw, he was an actor. His name was Joe Pichler. And apparently he had disappeared. So when I have these dreams, I have to figure out, once I figure out who the person is, I have to figure out, okay, like with this guy, what does he need help with, right? Which a lot of times is really frustrating. I still have a couple of spirits that I still haven't been able to figure out who they are and to help them. Yeah, it drives me crazy. But anyway, so I can skip part of that. I was just writing myself notes to remind me of what happened in the dream. Okay, so Joe Pichler was born February 14th of 1987 as Joseph David Wolfgang Pichler in Bremerton, Washington. He unfortunately disappeared at the age of 18 on January 5th of 2006. He had relocated as a child to LA to pursue his acting career. With the exception of a handful of memorable supporting roles, he's probably best known for his recurring role as Brennan Newton in the third and fourth installments of the Beethoven movies. And I remember watching those with my kids when they were little. In 2003, at the insistence of his family, he returned to his hometown in Bremerton, Washington, which is about 16 miles west of Seattle, and he graduated from high school there in 2005. Okay. According to his family, Pichler had planned to return to LA the following year. He was waiting, I guess he still had like bottom braces, so he's waiting to get those off, and then he was going to relocate and start his acting career again. Pichler had his own place, lived on his own in Bremerton, across town from his parents. His younger brother, Matthew, who went by AJ, and his older sister, Samantha. Pichler was last seen on January 5th, 2006. Okay, so according to the Charlie Project, the friends who last saw him stated he was in good spirits. Famous last words, right? His car, a 2005 silver Toyota Corolla, was found on January 9th, 2006 at the intersection of Wheaton Way and Sheridan Road. Yeah. He was officially reported missing by his family on January 16th. According to his family's statements to the media at the time, the last outgoing call on Pichler's cell phone was placed at 4:08 a.m. on January 5th to a friend who had said that he had been visiting with Pichler earlier in the day. According to the Associated Press, Pichler's family stated that a note found within the car expressed a wish to be a stronger brother and asked that personal effects of Pichler's be given to a younger brother, although the family did not categorize this finding as a suicide note. The lead detective on the case, Robbie Davis, told the Associated Press that there's a good indication that it might have been a suicide, but we don't know for sure. And they said at this point they had no reason to suspect foul play. A young kid goes missing, and okay. 2 months before his disappearance, he had started experimenting with drugs. The police theorized that Joe may have committed suicide by jumping off of a bridge into the Port Madison Narrows, but search dogs did not trace his scent to the bridge. So yeah, there was absolutely no scent on that bridge. So it's highly unlikely that he jumped off that bridge, you know? Okay, so here we go. All right, so I was able to connect with Joe. He came through as very anxious. I couldn't tell if he was anxious because he had a lot to say to me, or if he was anxious, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't know, but he was very anxious and insistent. But he was also, at the same time, he struck me as a person of very few words, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So I started, like I always do, with small talk. And, I tried telling him, that I had watched Beethoven many times with my kids. And, just trying to maybe calm him down a little bit and get him more comfortable. And it didn't work. He said there were things that he needed to say, and that's all he wanted to say. And so I was like, okay, who am I to argue with him, right? So I was like, okay, let's do this. Yeah. So you guys ready for this? Okay. So he went on to say that there are 2 other people besides him that know what happened to him. So then he went on to say, if Jesse and Cammie are claiming they don't know what happened, they're lying. So at this point, I actually did something that I don't normally do. I asked him if he could come back to me in a little bit, and I took a timeout, and I went and researched to find out who in the heck Jesse and Cammie are. So apparently, Joe and Cammie had dated at some point, and Jesse was a good friend of Cammie's, Okay, so when he went missing, Jesse apparently went with his mom and took a few turns and then said, oh, look, there's Joe's car sitting there abandoned. It was just too planned out, I guess. How did he know where the car was, right? So then later, Cammie told Joe's mom, Kathy, she said, oh, well, just so you know, I went by Joe's car and got out the stuff that would embarrass the family. What? And the mom said, Kathy said, how do you know where his car is? And she wouldn't answer. Yeah, so she wouldn't answer her, right? It just, it didn't add up. Didn't make sense. Like how these 2 people both knew exactly where his car was. And then Cammie said she had a spare key to Joe's car. Why does she have a spare key to Joe's car if they're not dating anymore? I don't know. So I was able to connect again with Joe. And I was asking him specific questions about Cammie. I was asking him specific questions about Jesse. And he just didn't answer. He was all about just saying what he wanted to say. And so apparently it's important for people to know that Cammie and Jesse know what happened. I wanted to also add, during my research, this supposed note that the police thought was a suicide note, where he said he wanted to be a stronger brother and to give his stuff to his little brother. Supposedly, a friend of Joe's came forward and said that it was a poem that they had both written together, that it wasn't a suicide note at all. It had nothing to do with suicide. So, and I'm telling you, the way Joe was talking, as adamant as he was, it wasn't necessarily what he said, it was how he said it. I definitely believe that Cammie and Jesse, allegedly Cammie and Jesse had something to do with it or knew what happened to him. Yeah. So I couldn't get him to give me any more information. He was very adamant. He just wanted that out there. So that's what I did. But, I've never had to do that. I've never had to say, okay, hold up, time out. I've never had to do that, I've never had to do that. It's crazy. Okay, so that's about it for this one, guys. But listen, be kind. Be very kind, especially during these trying times. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear your face mask. Stay at home, people. Don't go back out there until or unless you have to. All right, guys, that does it for me. Bye.